Hey everybody, Big Swole 58 here, and I am back to do an after shoot review on my newly acquired Walther PDP. And I've already done a benchtop review, but today I want to do a little bit more specific, in-depth talk about what my first experience was with this gun. So now, this is my Walther PDP. It's a full-size version, which has a 4.5-inch barrel. Now, my first time out was a 300 round shoot. And let me tell you, right off the bat, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, this is one of the best guns I have ever shot, period. Now, I know 300 rounds is not a huge sample size, so I wanna talk a little bit about how that shoot went first, and then I'm gonna kind of go through the gun sort of item by item and tell you what my experience was with it. So my very first shots was I just moved the target out to 6 yards. I think this is 50 rounds. Now, before you say anything about, oh, you should be shooting 1-inch groups, I'm not into that, all right? I've said 100 times, I'm not a marksman. I go to the range to have fun and enjoy myself. So all the 1-inch group, 2-inch group comments, you can keep them, I don't care, all right? These were my very first shots. This is 50 rounds at 6 yards. The trigger on this PDP is everything that you hear people talking about it is, because it is fantastic. It was good on the bench, but typically triggers feel way better shooting them than they do them on the bench. And this gun was no exception. Now, I have to say, I had a lot of shots that kind of broke before I was really ready to shoot, but that's on me, it's not on the gun. But this gun went flawless. I mean, flawless. All 300 rounds. But that was my first shots with 6 yards. And I was feeling so good about myself, I decided to move target out to about 10. And same thing. Just eating the target up. The sights real easy to pick up against this orange and white background. I tried a black shoot and see. I'll get to that a little bit later. I was having a little bit of trouble with that. But this is at 10 yards. Now I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, and I'm going to show you where I was at 15 yards. Again, I'm not center the bullseye, but my shots are all consistent. But now something weird happened when I moved out to about 12 yards. All of a sudden, shots are everywhere. There's a kind of a weird, kind of a shadow that appeared on this side of the target, and I really couldn't get a good sight picture on this particular bullseye. So I found myself almost doing a point shooting, so to speak. I rode the gun out and realized it was me, and it was me because of where the lighting was at 12 yards. Now, again, to put that to test, I tried a shoot and see, and at 15 yards, it's a little tricky trying. I was having a bit of a time picking up the sights on that background on the shoot and see, and I found myself aiming more with the dots, with the white dots, than I was with the sights themselves. So I think that had a bearing on how well or how poorly I was shooting at 15 yards. But at 12 yards, I seemed to be doing a little bit better. And this was on the right side of the target rather than on the upper left-hand side. And you can see I didn't seem to have that problem as much with 12 yards on the lower part of the target. But I was still having to deal with these sights against that black shoot and see, and it was probably kind of throwing me off a little bit. But overall, I mean, I'm not complaining. I got the vast majority of shots on the 6-inch shoot and see. And I got some, like I said, this trigger, it's real light. Not overly light, but it kind of broke a few times before I was ready to shoot. Now, I know y'all were probably looking at this wondering what the heck was going on there. Nothing, just having a little fun. I was probably down to my last, I don't know, 30 rounds or so. And I was just kind of messing around a little bit. But this was prior to that, and this was at 10 yards, and I really slowed down and I really took my time. And this is where shots were falling. So this gun was everything that I read about. Now I have to say this: the trigger's a little twitchy at first because, like I said, I typically ride the trigger, and what I mean by that is when a shot breaks and it resets, I usually just ride the trigger out to the reset and then back in. Now, what I think had happened a few times was when I did that, and I'm already got all of the take up pressed back against the break point, I think a couple of them got off on me before I was ready to fire. Okay, now that being said, let me tell you about my real experience here. Okay, first off, the sights are phenomenal. Very easy to pick up. I mean, they were great. I'm very pleased with how this gun performed, at least in my hands I am. And speaking of in hands, the grip on this gun is, I mean, I don't want to use the term perfect, but it feels so natural and so right. The stimpling is, let's see, I'm gonna say it's moderately aggressive, but you always feel like you got a real solid grip on this gun. And it's thick enough that it provides ample support for your support hand. And I find it to be like just right for me. The slide serrations, there's, whether you're using front press checks or whatever you're using on this gun, these slide serrations are, I mean, they're wide enough and deep enough where there's no, I mean, there's just nothing to complain about on them. You get a very good grip on it. Slide manipulation is very easy. All of the controls on the gun are very easy to reach. Magazine release button it just works fine. Mags always drop free. No problems whatsoever. Now, as far as the slide stop and catch, I had a little issue with that, and that it didn't always lock back on an empty magazine. That's not the gun. That's me. I use a thumb forward grip. Now, what I do is I put my strong hand thumb right over my knuckle on my support hand. And because of that, sometimes I tend to push up against the slide catch, and it's causing it not to raise up on an empty magazine. Once I realized what I was doing, I just moved my thumb over slightly and eliminated that problem. But everything else about this gun was just, I mean, it was just one of the best shooting experiences I had in a long time. Now, I have absolutely zero issues with this gun. I don't have anything negative to say about it. If I was going to rate this gun from 0 to 10, based on my first experience with it, I would give it on a 9.5 because I really can't find anything wrong with it. I didn't have any issue with it, and I don't have anything negative to say about it. So if anybody out there is considering getting the Walther PDP, this is one heck of a good gun. And for around $600, I don't believe you can beat it. I really don't.